Hi, my dear students. Myself, Anu Shashidharan, Academic Director and Biology Faculty of Rankings Entrance Training Academy. I welcome all of you in my new video lesson. This video lesson for the students of class 10. Today, I am going to discuss the chapter 8, How do organisms reproduce? Okay. As you know, reproduction is the process by which living organisms produce new individuals of the same species. Most of the organisms in nature, they can reproduce their young ones. Do you know what is the most important or importance of reproduction? You are very familiar. Reproduction is necessary for the survival and increase in the population of a species. Suppose you think about it, if the organisms do not reproduce, their population decreases and the species will become extinct. Is it clear? So the reproduction plays an important role to maintain the continuity of a species generation after generation. You are very familiar, the process of reproduction, unlike other life processes, is not essential to maintain the life of an individual organism. As you know, in the first chapter, we have discussed different types of life processes. You remember? Yes, the digestion, circulation, respiration, excretion, etc. You know, all these life processes are essential to maintain the life of an individual. But unlike such type of life processes, reproduction process is not essential to maintain the life of an individual organism. First of all, we have to discuss the different types of reproduction. I mean, the modes of reproduction. As you know, there are two different types of reproduction. First one is the asexual reproduction and the second one is the sexual reproduction. Do you know what is the meaning of asexual reproduction? Yes, it's a type of reproduction in which only a parent is involved. Dear student, in this type of reproduction, the organisms, I mean the offsprings, are produced without the production and fusion of gametes. Okay, in this type of reproduction, the young ones are produced from a single parent without the process of fertilization, means without the fusion of sex cells, means gametes. Is it clear? I repeat once again. In asexual reproduction, the young ones are produced from a single parent without the fusion of gametes. Such type of reproduction we can collectively call the asexual reproduction. The offsprings or the young ones produced as a sexual reproduction, they are having some specialities. The offsprings produced as a result of asexual reproduction are collectively called clones. Do you know what you call clones? Clones are morphologically and genetically similar. That means morphologically means in external appearance, and genetically, its genetic constitution means in character wise. Morphologically and genetically similar individuals, that of the parents. Why? Because the individuals, I mean the offsprings, are produced from a single parent. The most important types of asexual reproduction we have to discuss in this chapter, that is fission, fragmentation, regeneration, budding, vegetative propagation, and spore formation. Okay, all these type of asexual reproduction we will discuss in the next session. Okay, second one, you are very familiar, the sexual reproduction. As you know, it's a type of reproduction in which a male gamete fuses with a female gamete to produce a zygote. The process is called fertilization. The fertilization, what happened? The male gamete and the female gamete fuse to form a zygote. The zygote which develops to form a new individual. Better example, humans, cats, dogs, and most of the flowering plants. Is it clear? Suppose you think you just go through this diagrammatic representation. In case of human, the male and female individuals are there. The male parent produce the male gametes called the sperm, and the female parent produce the female gametes called egg. During fertilization, what happened? The male and female gametes undergoes fuse to form a structure called a zygote. The zygote develop into embryo. This type of reproduction we can collectively call the sexual reproduction. Is it clear? Yes. Dear students, when you consider the process of reproduction, the basic event is DNA copying. Is it clear? One of the most important concepts we have to discuss before the detailed aspect of reproduction. That is, all basic events in reproduction is the creation of a DNA copy. Is it clear? I mean, the basic event in reproduction is the creation of a DNA copy. Now we are going to discuss in detail what is the meaning of DNA copy. As you know, what is the meaning of DNA? DNA means deoxyribonucleic acids. Yes, it's actually the genetic material which can transfer the characters from parents to offsprings. Suppose you think about this is actually the structure of a cell. Okay, the cell it having the nucleus, and inside the nucleus it has chromosomes. So the chromosomes in the nucleus of a cell, it contains informations for inheritance of features from parents to offspring in the form of DNA. That means the inheritance factors, I mean the DNA molecules are present inside the nucleus, especially in the chromosome. This is the structure of chromosome. The chromosome is actually having the DNA molecule. The DNA is actually the genetic information is there. Okay, so genetic information should be transferred from parents to offspring through the DNA. Okay, so first of all, I said the basic event in reproduction is the creation of a DNA copy. Yes, students, this is the diagrammatic representation showing the DNA copying or DNA replication. The cells are actually using chemical reactions to build copies of their DNA. This creates two copies of the DNA in the reproducing cell, and they will need to be separated from each other. That means the newly formed DNA that should be enter into another cell. So the basic event in reproduction is the creation of a DNA copy. Okay, the process of DNA copying we can collectively call the DNA replication. Why is DNA replication necessary? When a cell divides into new daughter cells, you can see that these daughter cells need to have functioning DNA in order to survive. Suppose you think about this is actually a dividing cell. As a result of cell division, that leads to formation of two daughter cells. These two daughter cells needs to have functioning DNA in order to survive. Otherwise, they can't survive. For this, the DNA of the parent cell, this is the DNA of the parent cell is therefore copied, and each daughter cell gets a copy. So before the cellular division, the DNA of the parent cell should be make a copy. I mean, it should make its own copy. That process is called the DNA copying. It's the most important event in reproduction. I said the cells are actually using different methods. The cells are using chemical reactions to build copies of their DNA. As a result, what happened in a reproducing cell, one more copy of DNA should be produced, and two copies should be entered into two different daughter cells. So the DNA replication is very, very important. So why we can say the DNA replication or DNA copying is very, very important? Now we are going to discuss the importance of DNA copying. Dear students, the DNA in the cell nucleus is the information source for making proteins. That means I said in the beginning DNA as having genetic information, isn't it? The characters from parents to offspring should be transferred. I mean the characters from parents to transfer to the offspring through the DNA molecule. So this DNA molecule is actually having so many information. Which information? For making proteins. That means a gene, I mean a DNA should express their character by means of the production of a protein. You think about it, if the information is changed, suppose you think about this is actually a DNA molecule. If the information present in the DNA molecule should be changed, what happened? Different proteins will be made. Okay, if they are producing different proteins, what happened? The different proteins will eventually lead to altered body designs. That means that should change the characters. So the DNA copying is very important during reproduction. That should be perfectly accurate. If any change occur in the DNA copying process, what happened? That should alter the protein molecule. And as a result, the different proteins will be produced that eventually leads to the altered body designs. Do you follow me? That means the characters should be changed accordingly. So the DNA copying is very important. Is it clear? Another important concept in the introduction topic, you can see that how does the reproduction help in providing stability to a population of a species? The question already in your NCERT textbook. You can see that the population of organisms live in a well-defined places called niches. What we call population? Population means group of individuals of same species. That is called population. All population of organisms live in well-defined places called niches in the ecosystem, using their ability to reproduce. Reproduction involves, I said, the copying of DNA, which is the source of information for making proteins by the cells and thereby control the characters of the body design. The body design allows the organisms to use a particular niche. Yes or no? For example, in case of a fish, because of their body design, they can be able to swim in water, isn't it? So when you consider a fish, they are having a specific body design. That's why they can be able to that particular niche. That means the reproduction is linked to the stability of a population of a species. Why? Because the reproduction plays an important role to maintain the characteristic features, I mean the body design. In this way, we can conclude that the reproduction process helps in providing stability to a population of a species. Is it clear? Another important question we are going to discuss: what are the advantages of sexual reproduction over asexual reproduction? Okay, first one you are very familiar. Sexual reproduction promotes the diversity of characters in the offspring by providing genetic variation. You can see that in case of sexual reproduction, there is a fusion of two different gametes from male parents and a female parent. That means the characters may be changed. But in case of asexual reproduction, we said the offsprings are almost identical. Such type of morphologically and genetically similar individuals are called clones. But in case of sexual reproduction, we have seen there is a change in the characteristic features. Why? Because their offsprings are actually having different genetic constitution. So they are genetically different. Dear student, this genetic variation leads to evolution. Is it clear? This genetic variation necessary for evolution. Evolution also needed for the survival of a species. So the sexual reproduction promotes the diversity of characters in the offspring by providing genetic variation. Is it clear how it became genetic variation? Why? Because the fertilization process occur. That means the fusion between male gamete and the female gamete. As a result, the genetic variation will be occur. The offsprings are not at all clones. They are totally different from their parents. Such type of variations are necessary for evolution. Is it clear? But in case of asexual reproduction, the offsprings are almost identical. They are morphologically and genetically similar. Is it clear? So in case of asexually reproducing organism, there is no scope for evolution. That's why the survival, the species won't be able to survive in different conditions. So clear? These are the main differences between sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. Other differences we have already discussed in the beginning. In sexual reproduction, there will be fertilization occur. Asexual reproduction, there is no fertilization. Isn't it? In case of asexual reproduction, only one parent is there, but in case of sexual reproduction, two parents are there. Is it clear? This is something about the introduction about the topic of reproduction in organisms. I hope you have understood all these concepts. For better understanding, you have to go through this video lesson again and again. Thank you. Have a nice day.